Thank you very much. So one of the things that Bill and Allison talked about is the ripple effect of leadership and ripple effect when you improve yourself. And one of the things that I think is going to come out in my presentation today is a lot of the leadership lessons that Reto has taught me, he's learned through Bill. And so it's a great example of how one person committing to helping other people grow in leadership and the impact that it can have as it ripples out to multiple people. So quick introduction, which Michelle kind of gave you the introduction. We started Oregon Outdoor Lighting in 2008, and it was my wife, Leah, and I. This was right after I did 4 years in the Air Force, and as Michelle said, Leah nannied for Michelle and Reto, so that's how we originally got connected with Michelle and Reto and with Garden Light. Reto gave me a good introduction yesterday. It was kind of a nicer version. Usually when Reto talks about that time, he refers to me as a dog. He says that he'd throw one tennis ball and then I'd go get it and bring back two. So I'm never quite sure if that's a compliment or not. So yesterday's was a little bit more friendly introduction, but fast forward, so that's 2008. So we get out of the Air Force 2008, and then we'll just kind of skip a bunch because we go into it a little bit in our breakout sessions. But 2008 to now, so we got 11 years experience in the outdoor lighting industry. So we have experience of starting one company and continually seeing it grow over 11 years, which we had a lot of successes, a lot of failures in that. We also have experience in unsuccessfully starting a lighting company. So at one point we tried to expand before we were ready to, which gave us a whole new set of things that we learned. And then now we're at a point to where we feel like we have a system and we're going to start expanding again into new markets. So our range is the established 11 years, failure in starting one, and then now what it actually takes to build a system that we can repeat into different markets. So the one thing that we believe, and the one thing that always keeps anchoring us back to, people create our culture creates our brand, and our brand creates your business. Through all these lessons that we've learned, this is what it always anchors back to, is it anchors back to our culture. Culture is very important for growth, it's very important for reaching any objectives that you want to reach, but what we learned is it has to be in this order. Okay? If you want a good culture, you got to start with your people. And before you can have a good brand, and for the purposes of today, your brand is just what you offer your clients. It's who you are. Everybody has a brand, whether you're conscious of it or not. Your brand is what you represent, what people think about your company, what you offer to your clients. So everybody has one, but to have a brand, you have to have a good culture, and then your brand is what creates your business. But this order is what we have found is a huge anchoring point, is people, culture, brand, business. So what we're going to talk about today is how we've had some success in building a good culture and why we think it's important, and then hopefully give you guys some easy, real practical takeaways that you can use to start improving your culture of your company. So company culture, why does it matter? This is great because I actually got fact-checked by Bill on one of these already. So I want to hit your bottom line. So as according to a Gallup study, so unhappy employees cost American businesses $300 billion each year. Now, I think a lot of businesses get off track when we talk and just focus on money, but I like starting with something about your bottom line because we've got a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners in here, so when I talk about money, it gets your attention. So you are an American business. You're part of this $300 billion. If you have an unhealthy culture, it's costing you money. So it boosts your productivity. So this is one that it was a Gallup study featured in the Harvard Business Review, suggests 20% boost in productivity and profitability for companies with high engagement. But only 30%, as Bill already said, of American workers and 13% of global workers are engaged in their job. So if you think about this, if you have 10 employees, you got 3 people that are fully engaged. If you have 3 employees, you have 1 employee that's fully engaged if you have an unhealthy culture. That's when your team stays together. A strong culture will keep your team together. So there's a Columbia University study shows that the likelihood of job turnover at an organization with high company culture is about 14%, whereas probability of job turnover in low company culture is about 50%. So there's a lot of ways you can look at turnover and what that actually costs your business. It costs you a lot more than you think. A real practical one, right now we're recruiting for a new salesperson. And we're using a sales recruiter, and universally kind of industry standard, sales recruiters will typically charge 15 to 25% of that person's first year salary. So that is more than worth it if you get a good salesperson and he produces for you. But if you have to continually turn it over because you have a bad culture, you spend money up front, bring them into the culture, you do all this stuff on the front end to find this qualified person, you get outside help, and then if you bring them in, you continually turn them over. That's just one clear example that we're currently experiencing. We got to make sure we make the right hire, but then we have to have the culture so they stay, because turnover costs you a lot, and that doesn't even factor. The thing that doesn't factor is time training, time, the relationship that they build with your clients. You need them there. I think in our industry, because we're so like relationship based, especially if you want to scale and grow, we're very referral based. It's very important to build relationships with landscape architects, builders, what we call strategic partners. It's very hard to do that if you constantly have new people within your company. All right, so building blocks for a strong culture. There's more than 3, to be honest with you. We're going to just focus on 3 today. It's a broad subject, but I think these 3 are the 3 most important ones to start with. So one's going to be leadership. Second one we're going to talk about is core values. And then third one we're going to talk about is having a clear vision, what that means for your company and how important that is. So first one, I'd like to start with this quote. It's a John Maxwell quote. If you've read any books on leadership, you've probably read a John Maxwell book. So a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So as a leader, it's your job to know where you're going first and then know where your company's going. After you know it, then you actually got to do it. This is that action piece. So you got to know where you're going, and then you got to take action to actually do it, and then you got to show the way. What I take from this when I hear the word show, that's teach. That's bring other people with you. That's mentor. That's coach. That's not just doing something by yourself. So that's what I take away when I see this as show, or when I see the word show. All right, so before we dive into the specifics of leadership, I want to just have you guys start thinking about, it's going to cheat here. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you guys to think about order of importance of tasks and these like columns that make up your company. And so what we have here is we have installation delivery, we have systems and processes, we have design, we have sales and marketing, and we have leadership. So if I'm going to look at an outdoor lighting company, these are just like the 5 broad categories, 5 broad areas that make up an outdoor lighting company. So you kind of got the cheat sheet and saw my order first. But if you're going to think about this, just take like 5-10 seconds. In what order would you put these, with 1 being the most important, and then list them in order from there. So just think about that for a second. Write it down if you want to write it down. But think about which one would be most important, and then do them in order from there. So next slide here is the order that we put them in within our company. So the one question I have, did anybody think that your order would be the same as ours? Anybody line up with that? Anybody think your order would be exactly the same as ours? Okay. Would anybody think that leadership is first? Did you guys think leadership, or would put leadership first? Yeah. Okay, and then here's the last question, which I know might shake things up a little bit. Who would put design last? Okay, and who had design probably in a different, most of you guys have design in at least a different place than we had it in? Okay, good. So leadership, we're going to dive into that, but everything starts and ends with leadership in my opinion. We go sales and marketing second, because if we can't sell anything, then we have no business. It's just kind of a reality of business. You got to generate revenue to stay in business, and there's no systems to create, there's nothing to install, there's really nothing to design if you don't have the ability to generate sales. And then we do systems and processes because that builds how you operate, and kind of the quick mindset on it is once we sell something and once we can offer somebody something, we want to make sure we can deliver on that. And you will go back through and create systems and processes for sales and also for leadership, but just in our order of thinking, systems process third, then installation and delivery. So we want to actually deliver what we say we're going to do, which is very important. And then design. And the reason design is listed in this order, it's not because design is not important. It's not because it doesn't matter. It's not because you don't need to expand your ability to design. But for us, designs only matter once they're in the ground. Once we deliver them to a client, that's when our designs really matter. Because we can get all the design training that we possibly can, which we should be doing. You should be expanding your design capability. And Jeanette Moyer, she's given us great tips. She's given us great ideas. You should be listening to her and using her to expand your design base. But if we don't have good leadership, if we can't sell anything, if we don't have systems to deliver, if we don't install things at a very, very high level, then we're going to be doing less designs. So if I want to become the best designer I can be, then we need to, our company needs to focus on these other things first, because that's what's going to allow us to get more designs in the ground. And the more designs you guys get installed in the ground that actually become like a reality, that's how you get good design experience. That's how you become a better designer, is getting more projects in the ground. So focus on these four for us first, then design. The execution of the design takes care of itself. You still got to learn, but the execution of the design will take care of itself. All right, so let's dive into leadership. So why do we start with leadership? Why is this so important? Okay, one, so leadership creates the ceiling to your organization. If you're stuck, if you can't grow, if you're hitting a ceiling, if you're in a rut, any of those terms, you need to look at the person at the top. Their direct growth, we just hit on this in the previous presentation, but your direct growth as a leader is going to be directly linked to your company's ability to grow. And if you're not willing to grow, you cannot expect your company to be able to grow. Next one is leadership cannot be outsourced. So if we go back to like the 5 categories, okay, if I want to outsource design, I can do that. You can actually, if you don't want to do any designs in the lighting industry, you can create a whole business model of just working with strategic partners and just install what they design. You can outsource that. You don't have to do design. Installation, you could hire somebody else to do installation. You could work with another company, they could install for it and install your jobs for you. Sales or systems and processes, okay? There's a lot of companies out there, just Google kind of how to organize your business. There's a lot of companies out there that you can hire and say, hey, come into my company, spend a month or 2 here, and then create systems for everything we do. You can outsource that. Sales, you can outsource that. A lot of companies operate off of independent sales guys, 1099 guys. You can outsource all that. So with leadership, you can't outsource it. You can bring somebody in to help you learn the skills, to teach the skills, to teach a language. But once those skills are there, it has to come from internal. This got really shown to me. So in Portland, we have a lot of Nike clients. We have a lot of Nike clients that are very high up in Nike. And one of the things they talk about is when Phil Knight first stepped away from Nike, when he was like, I'm done being CEO, Nike tried to bring in an outside source to lead the company, and it didn't work. What they say, the analogy they use is that the body kind of purged the organ. They just didn't accept it. And then where you really see Nike, their history of going from this, they were like $18 to $20 billion company, and for them to go from that point to where they're at now, which is $70, $80 billion, it's because they promoted 2 people from within to run the company after Phil Knight stepped away. So this is a very real, very tangible thing that it has to come from within the company itself. All right, so every problem is a leadership problem. I'll just roll with it. The fact is that you as a leader, you have to take responsibility, as we talked about the previous one, but you have to take responsibility for everything within your company. So one of the examples here is we have a field service manager who runs the whole installation side of it. He's in charge of interviewing, hiring, firing, promoting, reprimand, whatever. He's in charge of the whole field installation team. So I do not interview our installation team members before they're hired. So if he makes a bad hire, whose fault is that? It's my fault. Because 1, I put him in the position to be field service manager, so I have to trust him to execute his job. But 2, if he doesn't have the skill set to make the right hire, that's my fault. because I'm his leader. I didn't teach him, I didn't train him, I didn't give him the ability to execute his job at the way that we are expected to at our company. So it's just a real tangible thing, but you have to take responsibility for everything in a leadership position. All right, so what do we do about it? How to be a better leader? There's going to be some simple things. One, we have to understand what the goal of leadership is. And then two, we have to look at how we're operating and the questions we're asking ourselves and how much of our time is doing things that are unnecessary and that don't really matter. So what's the goal of leadership? There's a quote, but to me it sums up exactly what the goal of leadership is. There's a quote by Jocko Willink. So the goal of all leaders should be to work themselves out of a job. When mentored and coached properly, the junior leader can eventually replace the senior leader, allowing the senior leader to move on to the next level of leadership. So even if you just take the first sentence of that, that's the tremendous value. The goal of all leaders should be to work themselves out of a job. Very simple. If you're starting a company, if you're trying to grow and scale a company, the very simple way you do that is you create, okay, what does your finished company look like position-wise? Okay, when this is a finished product, no matter what size you want to go to, what does it look like? You create an organization chart. And in the beginning, you're going to fill basically every box within that organization chart. And there's nothing wrong with that as you're growing or you're scaling or you're creating a business. But what you have to do is you create that org chart, you create every position, you create what the job description is and how to actually execute that job. And then when you want to grow, you hire people and teach them that position. And this is what this is talking about as far as you're leading so you can go on. So you train other people to do these positions, train other people to do leader so you can continually move up. And then that's how you scale and that's how you grow a company on a very basic level. But just having this mentality as a leader, your job is not to do everything all the time. Okay? Your job is not to tell people what to do. Your job is to coach and train and mentor and lead other people so they can do the task without you standing next to them. Because the other thing here that we got to keep in mind is if you're looking at hiring people and not just as an installer, but also as a leader, you don't have to stand next to leaders. A lot of times, you'll hire somebody in a position to do the task. If it's just about hiring this person to do a task and not about coaching them, training them, mentoring them, then you're always going to have to be right next to them. A leader goes out and does what he's supposed to do and doesn't have to be babysat, basically. So the next thing we need to do, this is a checklist of questions from Brian Houston. So how to identify the unnecessary. There's a series of questions. If you're taking notes, you write some down that speak to you. But this is just a great series of questions to ask yourselves how you're spending your time when you're doing something. The question we always got to make sure that what we're doing is impactful. Okay? And so ask yourself a series of these questions, or go through these questions. These are great questions to ask yourself. One is, what is your objective? So are you doing, whatever you're doing, is there an objective to what you're doing? And this is sometimes hard because you ask yourself this and you're like, it's not really a point to what I'm doing here. Next thing, is this task helping you to accomplish your objective? Again, intentionality. We talked about we're all here because we all woke up and know where we needed to be today. Okay? Did the tasks that you did this morning. You got to get up, you got to shower, you got to eat, you got to come down here and get ready. Okay, these are all moving you towards your objective of getting here this morning. So you got to make sure that just apply this to everything. Know your objective and then make sure the actions that you're doing are actually moving you towards it. Could someone else be doing this? There's a great question for anybody in a leadership position. Can somebody else be doing this? I think that in regards to leadership, the most successful day you can have is you only do tasks that you can do. A lot of the tasks, installation, sales, design, a lot of that stuff, that can be done with somebody else. But nobody else can lead like you can lead. Nobody else can cast the vision of the company. Okay? Nobody else can determine the next step that you need to make for growth, and sometimes that's a marketing play, sometimes that's going into a new market, sometimes these are all the things that only you can do. And your day is maximized as a leader the more time you spend on doing the things that only you can do. Is it essential to what you want to achieve? This is great. This is kind of like your objective here. Does it serve any real purpose? Again, it's similar to the first questions, but what am I doing? Like, is there really a purpose to this? And I think that one area that this shows a lot as you grow as a company, you have to change your patterns of, there's things that really, really matter when you're first starting. There's smaller things, or the things that are very, very important because you don't really have a choice. Right? If you got to spend, let's say, $50, okay? If you're a brand new company, yeah, $50 matters. And not saying that money doesn't ever matter, but if you grow and you scale and you're a bigger company, okay, you got to train these patterns out. And does really stressing about $50 when you're a 10-year-old company, does it really serve a purpose? And the answer is no, usually. All right, so how is this helping the bigger picture? Or is it something you do because that's how we've always done it? Okay, the way I think about this is I don't really care about right or wrong, I care about better. And what happens a lot is either internally, like it starts with one person, or you could look at this kind of like the whole balance, like old school versus new school. Like the old school guys like, well, I've always done it like this and it's always worked. And then you get like the new fresh perspective and they're like, well, this is a new way to do it, you don't even know about it. And so what that conversation becomes is I'm right and you're right, when the better solution is sitting right in front of them. So as you're looking at things, is you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of times it's just a tweak, but always be open to better and not right or wrong just because that's how we've always done it. So better is always better. So is this a distraction? One of the challenges in entrepreneurs is that maybe you have a little bit of success at one business, and so you think that you can just do that in every business. Which there's some truth to that, or we get caught up in sometimes in some of the more well-known business celebrities, we'll say, and they've had multiple businesses and been really successful. Okay, this is a constant pull, I think, at all of us. And I think what we've learned is once we really focused on specifically what we were supposed to be doing and got rid of all the shiny things, and quit chasing the shiny things, I should say, and really focused on this, one, grow in Oregon outdoor lighting, it changed our business. So I always ask yourself, is it a distraction? I think, is it draining resources? So we always want to make investments, and sometimes you don't know the complete ROI on investments right away, but you just have to be conscious of the fact that some things are draining resources, and they're not. You spend money, and you got to take that risk on things, but you just have to be honest with yourself. Is it actually draining resources? And I think that one of the things here that shows up a lot in this is sometimes this can be people. Okay? Are we hanging on to somebody? And this is more of something that I like to share just because we've had a lot of family members work for us. Okay? Some family members, I have my two best employees are family members, best of leadership. They're very successful employees. But then I've had other family members that were not, and they were draining on the company. And so I had to let them go, which was a very difficult thing to do. But the strength of the company is what we have to always be conscious of. And then last one, is this helping us grow our capacity? So if you work at Oregon Outdoor Lighting, you're going to hear me say capacity a lot. This is one, it's like my favorite word when we're talking about leadership. But one of the things we did at our company is, you can call it maybe your core vision, your core passion, your mission statement, basically like why do you exist as a company? And so we exist as a company to increase the capacity of our people. That comes before lighting, that comes before design, that comes before anything else. If you come and work for us and we increase your capacity, and whether that's like you come in as, say, a salesperson, and you worked at a hat store, and then you become the best lighting salesperson in the U.S. That's one very real example. But we look at increasing capacity, and we want our company you to come learn things at our company that you can apply it to your life. Maybe we can teach you how to speak better to your kids. Maybe we teach you how to manage your finances better through the principles that we're teaching at Oregon Outdoor Lighting. So that's why we're here. That's why we exist. This is what our driving factor is. This is what motivates us when things are good, when things are tough. We're always driving because we know our worth as a company is based off of how well we can increase the capacity of the people around us, not based off of sales or not based off of numbers, not based off of revenue. Those are all good byproducts. And if you increase the capacity of your people, you're going to get those rewards, we'll say, or those benefits. But what we found is if we chase those benefits directly, then our people get pushed to the side and it doesn't allow us to grow over the long term. And back to the first slide, so people, culture, brand, business. If we want that strong business, it starts with our people, and that's all about increasing their capacity. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is core values. One of my favorite subjects is core values. And so Oregon Outdoor Lighting, we're going to walk through our core values and what they mean, and we're going to hit some key points to make sure core values are actually going to impact your business. So our first core value: quality, simplicity, service, integrity, and work hard, be nice. Okay, so those are our core values. Now, the first thing we need to address with core values is, right now, these on a screen, these on a piece of paper, these in a marketing brochure on our website, they don't mean anything. Because I personally never come across a company that says, hey, we have bad quality. We're going to make things so complicated you don't want to do business with us. We're going to give you terrible service, and when you're not around, we're going to be rude to your spouse. Okay, and by the way, we're going to lie to you about our pricing and lie to you about what we're going to do. And then when our guys get there, they're just going to sit on their coolers, and they're going to treat you like crap. Okay, I've never heard a company say that, right? So with this, what you have to do is you have to choose your core values, but then you have to define what they mean to your company. What does quality mean to your company? What does simplicity, service, integrity, work hard, be nice? Your core values could be to have fun. I mean, you could be whatever it is, right? But once you choose them, you can't just choose a word. You have to choose, and then you have to choose the word, and then you have to define what they mean to your company. So what we did, quality. So we can have like a short version, long version of a definition of our core values. So what does quality mean to us? So quality to us is we are a company that puts quality first. When faced with a decision, quality trumps time and convenience. It trumps money whenever possible. So an example of this, say this happened, and let's go installation. Okay, our guys are installing lights on an arbor, right? And there's going to be a little bit of exposed conduit. They got two choices. They got PVC conduit they can use that's big and gray and looks ugly, or they can use copper conduit. Which choice do my guys go with? They go with the copper conduit because it's really not that much difference in money. It takes a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, it's a better quality product. It looks better. It's a better option for our clients. And the beauty of this is our guys know this. So when they're faced with decisions like this, they don't have to call anybody. They don't have to ask. One of my biggest pet peeves on installation side of things, at least, is when the stake shows on lights. I don't like the stake sticking up out of the ground. It just drives me nuts. Okay? So, hey, this job is super, super hard. This ground is super hard. It's going to take us an extra 3 hours to get it in. What do my guys do? Well, then it's going to take us extra 3 hours. Because it gives, in my opinion, it gives us a better quality image. It gives us a better quality end result. Okay? Presentation to our clients. When we're going to a client's house, we switched 2 years ago to Mercedes vans for our sales guys. Why? Because we want to equate our brand with a quality brand. Now, the beauty of doing Mercedes vans, just so you guys know, if you buy one brand new, they're really not any more than any other van, right? But when we make these decisions, quality is always that driving factor behind it. And then we have a long version. I won't bore you quite with that, but this is how we break everything down. Short version and then a long version. All right, next one, simplicity. I am a freak for simplicity. This is probably one place where I get a lot of marks, and as a leader, I've had to learn and grow and expand on, because if you ask me a question, a lot of times I'll give you the direct answer without a lot of fluff around it, and I've learned that over time, sometimes that comes across as not being very polite, or need more empathy as far as like my response to other people. But simplicity is a big driving factor for us. So we make business simple. It would be easy to find, easily accessible, and quick to respond to our clients and to each other. This may or may not be the best example, because the quick to respond thing, that's normally within working kind of context, normal hours, whatever those are for you. But I called Ryan towards the end of the day on Valentine's Day, and I didn't know he was out to dinner with his wife. But I got a call back at 6:30 because we want to be quick to respond to each other. And maybe that's pushing it a little too far, but another example would be Ryan knows sales end of things. If he's going to be done, let's say he's done at 7 p.m., if he missed a call at 6:55 that day, he's calling that client back. Because we want to keep things really simple, and being part of keeping things simple is being easily accessible. This is why we have an office coordinator. Because when you call a company, this is very simple. Somebody calls your company because they want to talk to somebody. They're not calling you to leave you a message. So how do we simplify things? We simplify it by having somebody answer the phone. And the other thing we do, and I don't know, at some point I think this doesn't need to be addressed, but I still want to address it. If you don't take credit cards, you should. Just for simplicity. And if you can't take credit cards on the spot, you should. Because it's simple. And the clients, they want their airline miles. Okay, well, give them their airline miles. Okay? Yeah, there's a fee for credit cards. Build it into your pricing. It's simple. This is all simple stuff, right? You want to make things easy, make things simple. One of the best compliments we get is when a client tells us that you guys made this really easy. Just a flawless process. Okay? We don't want to overcomplicate things. And that's the extended version. All right, next one is service. This one's huge for us because human interaction is when our brand becomes real. Service will shine the most in these interactions. We'll ask ourselves, how can I help in all human interactions? So a very real, kind of more serious thing that's happened recently was we did a job for a client, and we were supposed to do the parents' home and do the son's home. And after we did the parents' home, there was kind of this gap in communication, which was a little unusual. And then come to find out that the son had passed away. It was a very really recent thing. This happened about a week before Ryan went out and met with them through the walkthrough. And why I use this example is if we didn't do this, if we didn't believe that service starts when human interaction and those relationships become real, there's no way they're keeping that appointment with him. To me, it was a direct reflection of like they went through this tragedy, but they still wanted Ryan to come out and walk the lighting system with them. Maybe it was a good break, maybe it was a good distraction, maybe, I don't know. But my gut tells me that 99% of people, it doesn't mean, at that point, lighting doesn't really mean anything. But because of the human interaction, the human relationship that we build through service, they still kept the appointment with Ryan and talked to Ryan, gave Ryan a hug, and he was able to be there in that moment for them. And then it's just a great example of like when you live out your core values, you start seeing that it's more than just about lighting. Here's the longer version. Our next one's integrity. We are transparent, honest, ethical in all of our interactions with employees, clients, consumers, and vendors. Now, I do got to throw in the first sentence here because this one isn't as long, but we'll have the difficult conversations when necessary. Part of integrity, and this was touched on again in the previous presentation, which was great. Part of having high integrity is talking to people when you see something with somebody in your organization that is hurting them or hurting the company. You need to have that difficult conversation with them. Now, you have to deliver it nicely, and there's a way to deliver it, but you have to be willing to have those conversations. And then it has to work down the chain and then up the chain as well. As a leader, you have to be willing for people to come to you and say, hey, this is going on. You're talking to me in this style. You're treating me like this. And that doesn't work for me, or it makes me feel like this, so how can we find a solution? Very easy, kind of like the elephant, the elevated elephant. It's easy to put yourself on a high perch and say, look, I can tell everybody what to do, but nobody can tell me what to do. You're not going to build a strong company culture if that's your mindset and that's how your company is set up. So this has to work up and down the chain. And the last one, so we lighten up a little bit. Work hard, be nice. All right, so organizational lighting was built through hard work. This will always be the core of what is expected on a daily basis. We have learned that hard work is muted if you're a jerk, so don't be one. Yeah. Pretty simple here. We've learned this. Actually, we didn't really learn this one the hard way because we've always we learned this internally the hard way. I'll say that. But so we'll start internally. One of the things that happens, I think, with leadership entrepreneurs is you're like, I started this company, I work 15-hour days, and I work my butt off, so everybody else is going to do that. To me, that's actually a knock in your ability as a leader. Because as your company grows, you should be creating better systems, and people should not be having to do the same things that you did. And it's a huge ego check, because over time as you grow, right, so I did sales all by myself. I worked this much, and then Ryan, our first sales guy, was pretty close to that, but a little bit less just because we were smarter, right? We're getting smarter. And then actually the next salesperson after him is going to have to do a little bit less to get to the same success levels over time. You should be training your people faster. As you get more people, they should be learning the skills faster, and that's the compliment. The compliment is not come into my business and do what I did and work as much as I did. If that's the continual cycle you're stuck in, you're never going to be able to grow because you're not learning new things. You should be focused on efficiency and being able to teach and lead people new skills. So externally, where this helps you, so like with your clients. I'm sure there's people in here who have executed a awesome design, installed it flawlessly, and maybe somebody within your company had a bad interaction with that client, and somehow they found things wrong on that project. How you treat people is going to affect how they see their lighting design, what they think of their lighting design. You can't build any margin with your clients if you're not treating them with 100% respect. If you're not being nice to them, that's how you build margin. And it works on the flip side. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay, if you're super nice from that client from the first time they call in through every interaction, if you make a mistake on that job, that client's more than likely just going to be like, all right, hey, cool, fix it, no big deal. Now, if there's a bad interaction and you're not nice to them, if you're a jerk to them, then that small problem is going to become a bigger problem. So this is how you build margin with your clients, is be nice to them. And that's the right thing to do. All right, and that's the quick version there, or the extended version. All right, so core value keys. Things to remember when you're defining your core values, establishing core values, and implementing them in your company. So you want to keep them between 3 to 7. This is pretty universal. You look at pretty much any, there's a recommended. And the thought behind this is have less core values and actually do them, as opposed to having a bunch of core values. Having 3 that you actually execute, live by, use to operate your company is going to be much more effective than having 10. So we settled on 5, we're right in the middle, and we actually live them out. But generally speaking, it's 3 to 7. All right, next thing is make sure they are more than just words. Like we started with. If they're just words on a piece of paper, they're not going to do anything to change your business. And ensure everyone knows them and understands them. This is key. Okay? This isn't just once you know what they are, you're going to define them, but then you're going to need to meet with your team, meet with your people, and you're going to have to walk them through like circumstances in the beginning on this situation comes up. Let's run them through the core values. What do we do? Okay, so make sure your people know what they are, know the definition of them, and then make sure they understand how to use them. Okay, and then this is the big, like the central part of culture is one of the central parts, is creating a common language, and you can do that with core values. And you do that by running every situation through your core values as a filter. So the end goal, I feel like, of core values is you can take people from within your company, different positions, sales, install, office, whatever it is. You could give them the same situation independently, and they should be able to come up with about the same answer, the same solution to that problem. You give them a problem, they should all be coming up with a similar solution if they're running it through your core values. It's a good test to see if your core values are actually effective. If you can take people from within the company, give them all a problem, and they all come up with a pretty close or the same answer because they're running it through your core values as a filter. Last thing, and then make sure they align with your vision. This is a critical piece, and this will kind of tie into clear vision, which we'll go into next. But let's say if you want to be the luxury landscape lighting company in your market, but your core values are about using the cheapest product whenever possible. It's not going to work. Okay? And we want to try to not have any resistance within the company. Right? So if we're going somewhere, our objective is going somewhere and our core values are leading us somewhere else, that creates friction, creates turmoil inside the company, so we want to eliminate that as much as possible. The last note that I did not put up on here, and it's kind of a word of caution, and not everybody is perfect, especially when you first implement core values, but I think there is a danger in implementing core values if you don't actually live them out. And you can actually create sometimes more damage to where if you never would have defined core values in the first place. Because if you say, hey, this is what we live by, I'm going to treat you nicely, but then on the back end I'm being a jerk to you, you're undermining your whole system. All you parents in the room, this is stark reality of being a parent. You tell your kid, hey, if you do this, then you're going to lose TV for a day or 2 days. And then you don't follow through with it, what happens over time? They don't care. They say, whatever, I'm going to do it anyways, because you're not going to punish. You're undermining yourself. Right? And you're undermining your ability to lead. And you're undermining, in this case, if it's core values you're undermining the whole company. So I would just commit to it, and you can be honest with your people, hey, these are your new core values. It's going to take us time to live them out. It's going to take us time to fully implement them, and we're going to make some mistakes. That's cool. Be upfront, be honest with them. But just actually commit to it. Once you set them, actually commit to them and actually use them in every area of your company. All right, clear vision. Why is clear vision important? What are some of the keys to a clear vision or some of the things we're going to talk about? I got this from the Business Dictionary, which I don't even know if it's a real. I'm not 100% sure if the Business Dictionary is a real dictionary, but I like this definition. So, all right, so vision. An aspirational description of what an organization would like to achieve or accomplish in the midterm or long-term future. It is intended to serve as a clear guide for choosing current and future courses of action. So what is a vision? Okay? It's a description of what you want to do in the future. And once you have this, you use it as a clear guide to take action. The key word on there is that last word, is action. A lot of times we're very good at setting a vision because that's fun. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Okay? What sales goals do you want to hit? What revenue goals do you want to hit? How many people do you want in your organization? It's fun. And that's part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of being a business owner. You get to do that stuff. But it doesn't really count. It doesn't really matter until you take action on it. So vision is creating the vision and then actually taking action on it. All right, so why is a clear vision important? Importance of a clear vision. This one gets me a little heated up sometimes, so I'll try not to ramble on this, but people. All right, so the size and clarity of your vision will be directly correlated to the type of people you attract to your organization. As a leader, you have to set a vision big enough to fit all of your employees' dreams inside of it. This is one of the things we see a lot in businesses, is they say they want to have a great company. Say you want to offer a premium product, but the environment is not created or doesn't exist to bring premium people, not them personally, but say high character people into your company. What you got to do is you got to look at it from their perspective. Why would somebody want to come work for your company? What opportunities are there? What is the benefit for them long term of being a part of your company? You're not going to get quality people unless that vision is big enough. You know, one of the cool things that's happened in our company in the last 3-4 years, I've had 3 people that were able to buy houses. That was important to them. They needed a job, they needed a career that they could have the resources to buy a house. 2 of those people, and their job with us also allows their wife to stay home. That was important for them. Okay, we've had another person who's been able to upgrade their home, and for her, what it was is she was able to upgrade her home so her kid could get into a better school district. And it moved her closer to the office, so now she gets to pick her kid up from the school bus every day. Okay, these kind of things, these tangible, real things that make impact for people's lives, they don't exist unless, as a leader, you factor these things into your vision as a company. I want people within my company that want to be high earners, that want financial freedom, that want to be respected in the industry. Because the more people that I have like that, the better the culture is going to be, but the more we can do as a company. So if you're having trouble, this constant cycle of having people, high turnover, disengaged employees, one of the things you have to look at is you have to look at your vision. Why would a good employee want to come work for you is a great question to ask yourself. And sometimes it sucks. And sometimes it's a hard question. But it's one you have to ask. Okay, so vision creates intentionality. This is another thing I talk about with my kids. You don't get to the top by accident. You have to make up your mind as to where you want to go. The best part about it is you get to make it up. Okay, so make up your mind. All right, you get to define what the top is. The most important thing is to define where you want to go and then intentionally pursue it. So this thought, right? We're always told, hey, make up your mind, make up your mind, make up your mind. Like there's power in that. I never even, when I was younger, it's like someone tell me make up my mind, and I'd take it as like this personal thing, like, I don't know, and you get kind of stressed out. But you get to make it up. Whatever your company, whatever you want your company to be, whatever the top is, if you want to be the best 4-person company in the world, that's great. If you want to be the best 100-person company in the world, that's great. Where you get into trouble is if everything you're doing is creating, if you think you want to become a 100-person company, but you're acting like that 400-person company, or that 4-person company. Okay? Or vice versa. Maybe you're a big company and you're acting like a small company. The important thing that you got to do is whatever it is, don't base that off of what somebody else says. Don't base that off of comparing yourself to somebody else. You define. You make up your mind. You define that, and that's where the power is. Because once it's defined, it gives you intentionality, and you know how to achieve it. But the important part is you got to define it first. Define it. All right, teamwork can make you unstoppable, and it's fun. It's a blast. Teamwork is some of the most fun I've had in my life. This is another quote here. So if you could get all the people in an organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry in any market against any competition at any time. So I know football analogies probably going to stir it up a little bit, but what are the Patriots known for? Yeah, championships, cheating, Deflategate. I knew that was going to come. But generally speaking, if we just go back to the Super Bowl, if we look at all-stars, right? The Rams had a lot more all-stars on their team. They went on a massive spending spree and brought in a lot of high talent, right? But they lost to the Patriots because the Patriots play better as a team. Teamwork can make you unstoppable. And back to that, there's so much stuff in business and on the outside that we cannot control. Okay? You're not going to be able to control economy. Clients can be all over the place. There's competition. There's things that you cannot control. But you can control what's going on internal. And the more people are all going in the same direction, the more success you're going to have. And if I'm looking at this from if I was going to go into say go compete against somebody, I don't want to compete against a team that's all playing together. That's a very scary opponent, because they are maximizing the value of themselves individually, but then that's all compounded when you work together as a team. And when we're hitting on all cylinders like this is when we have the most fun. For me, at this point, it's more exciting for me to see Ryan sell a big job than it is for me to sell a big job myself. That's a lot more fun. It's more fun for me to see our field service manager, Jake, grow and lead other people. When I see success from somebody that I didn't hire within the company and I didn't train personally, okay, that's much more fun, rewarding for me than it is to see success of somebody that I trained personally. It shows growth. It shows potential. It shows what we can do. It's motivating. It's fun. So before I leave you guys with a video, we're going to do 3 takeaways to remember. So 1, commit to leadership. Lead yourself first. Lead your team. Okay, nobody gets a pass on leadership. Nobody. Because you're leading somebody. Everybody is leading somebody. It could be your kids, it could be a family member, it could be your spouse, whatever it is. Somebody, you are leading somebody. Right now, somebody is being impacted by your actions. So nobody gets a pass on leadership. And I think one of the first places to start to get traction on becoming a better leader is to make and keep promises to yourself. This could be as small as, I'm going to wake up 10 minutes earlier so I can, do a morning devotional for 10 minutes. And then keep that promise to yourself. These are small, tangible things. The way you become a better leader is you lead yourself first. And the way you do that, one of the ways you do that, is to keep promises to yourself. So lead yourself and then lead your team. And expand your team as well. Team could be your company, team could be your family. Okay, apply this to more than just business. Second thing, so define and live by your core values. We hit on this. Once they're defined, you got to live by them. I would say that if you're going to do one thing to improve your company, is create those core values. Do them with your team. When you define them, sit down, let everybody have their opinion. Usually how the process works is you usually come up with 50, and then you scale it down to 25. All right, and then we go to 10, and then you get it down to what are really the 5 or 3 to 7 things that really matters. But do this with your team, define them, and watch how this changes your business. And last one, is set your vision and go get it. Find what you want to become. Define what you want to become. Use that to get you out of bed in the morning. Use that to light that fire. Use that to drive you every single day. And please, do not do it as a comparison to somebody else. Everything we talked about today has to come from you and has to mean something personally for you for it to be effective. That's what that vision is. Whatever the top is for you, just define it and go get it. So I appreciate you guys letting me talk today. I'm going to show you guys a video of what some of my employees think it's like to work at Oregon Outdoor Lighting.
Hey, Ryan Schulze. It's been 6 years at Oregon Outdoor Lighting, and I run sales. So I get in front of those clients, and I get an opportunity to meet with people and really show very cool lighting designs to help give your home a wow factor. Seeing the difference at night, the before and after photos of someone's home and their emotion, how they feel when they come in and they see that is hands down the coolest thing. I have the mindset as I'm unemployed every day. So I wake up and I gotta earn it every single day. So that starts the moment I wake up and go to the gym. Then I go to work with that ambition mindset of I'm gonna show what we do and it's gonna look absolutely amazing, and You know, when I meet with people, they're always saying that I can tell from the passion, the confidence that you have, that you love what you do. So when I started, it was Kyle by himself out of his garage. I remember my first day, we didn't have, you know, this office. We didn't have anything. I moved some lights in a bucket in his garage, and I set up some lights at a client's home one night just to say, hey, this is what we do. I mean, there was nothing here when we first started. So it was a lot of, you know, getting out there, banging on doors, calling people. So it's cool to say, looking back now, what that hard work has done to now. It's changed my life, family. It's been amazing.
Hi, my name's Courtney, and I have worked for Oregon Outdoor Lighting for going on 3 years now. I am the front office coordinator. I absolutely love building relationships with the customers. That's always been important to me, and I love that everybody here is extremely hardworking, and it definitely shows in the quality of work that we provide for our clients. Every day I feel inspired by my daughter and my family. She always encourages me to just like come in and do my best, and she always says that she wants to work for Oregon Outdoor Lighting when she grows up, so it always makes me proud to come in and show her what I do. I love all of our like get-togethers outside of work, and definitely the funnest activity that we've done was whitewater rafting. It was one of my very favorite experiences that I've ever done.
My name is Dan McKelvy. I am a design and sales consultant for Oregon Outdoor Lighting. So what I do is try to generate new clients, meet new clients, see what their needs are, and help them put a lighting design together and then complete the sale for them. The company value I relate to the most is quality. Everybody here is very focused on making sure that we put out the best end result possible, whether that means that we have to stay late or come in after hours or, you know, move things for clients multiple times just to make sure that everything gets done right. Everybody really cares about what they're producing here. The thing that inspires me to succeed every day is, one, my family, and then two, everybody here is really focused on helping you succeed. So it's really just a bunch of people trying to make each other better and make themselves better in the process. The most meaningful part of my job here is just seeing the clients' faces at the end of a project and knowing that we did a great job for them, and just again seeing the end result of everybody's hard work and how that relates to the client and their happiness.